Welcome into another Dolphins Today Mailbag. It's Ask Anything. Nothing is off limits. So glad to have you along. I am your host, Jake Riepma, and it's one of my favorite times a week because we just get it going. We get it going with all the questions. Nothing's off limits. Submit your questions using hashtag Dolphins, and let's get it going right away with one of my favorites, the one and only, Sherry May, the one and only part of this Dolphins Today community. Appreciate your question. Let's get into it. Dolphins, Giants, D has most misses in the NFL. Will we burn them with our quickness 5 times, 10 times? Look, I think the over-under being at 49.5 is, I always say, life's too short to bet the under, and that's definitely the case with this one. You know my score prediction. I think the Dolphins are scoring 6 touchdowns, maybe 7. I'm saying 41, and so I think the fact that this Giants defense has proven they're not the best tackling team. They are 30th in scoring defense, so not quite dead last like their offense, but this defense also hasn't forced a turnover the entire season, which is kind of, when you think about it, in 4 games, you haven't forced 1 turnover. Egregious. So, yes, to answer your question, Sherry May, I'll say 10 times. I think DeVon Achane is going to have a field day, a nice little bounce-back game for Raheem Mostert, and this offensive line is going to protect Tua Tagovailoa. Tyreek Hill, he was on an incredibly fast pace, record-breaking pace for the most receiving yards, got slowed down a little bit in Buffalo, but he bounces back, and we just keep it going. No chance this Giants defense can match the speed, quickness, and athleticism of this Dolphins offense. Roski 237. Do you think Achane deserves to be RB1? If so, do you think Jeff or Raheem is on the trade block? And give Brooks and Ahmed some time to play. Savon Ahmed. That's a great point because I think even as much as 2-3 weeks ago, we were talking about this Dolphins team maybe making a blockbuster trade for an available running back. And in the offseason, we are talking about bringing in Dalvin Cook or some kind of big name like that. And the way DeVon Achane has burst onto the scene has exceeded all of our wildest dreams or expectations. And I do think he's made the case to be RB1. Now, all due respect to him, this is not a knock on him. It's just facts are facts. He's 5'7", maybe 180, 185. So I'm not sure I'm ready to hand him the ball 30 times a game just out of purely precaution for his health. And I think when you complement that with a guy like Raheem Mostert, who has proven he can tote the rock that many times and be that workhorse, it is just a fantastic combination that really is tough to stop. That's why the Dolphins have the best rushing attack in the National Football League. As for Jeff Wilson, that one's tough because he started the season on IR, so there's still some unknowns. And Savon Ahmed, also a valuable candidate there. And if it gets to that point, the end of the month, later in October here, where one of those guys could be deemed valuable in the trade market, I don't necessarily hate the idea of sending one on their way and getting something in return because of the success that Raheem Mostert and DeVon Achane have had. So that's a great question. Difficult to answer exactly, but I love our running back room. Hanky Fins! Glad we get to play the Giants this week for a bounce-back game. LOL. Exactly. That's how you end the sentence when you're talking about the Giants in any capacity, offense or defense. LOL. Laugh out loud. That's how bad their defense has been. That's how bad their offense has been. And the tape doesn't lie. I'm not telling anyone anything they don't know. They just haven't been good. So that said, I'm going to put my football coach hat back on like I had for our preview. This is the National Football League. You can't take a week off. You can't go in overconfident. You still got to execute. You still got to play your game, be the best team out there, and go out and dominate like you're expected to do. That was my best coaching. But I completely agree. Is this Giants game going to be an easy win? What say you? I want you to let me know in the chat. It's our pinned comment for the day. It's an easy one. You think this is going to be an easy win? Type yes or no. I think it is going to be an easy win. So I've said that time and time again. You still got to go out and play your game. But point being, this Dolphins team is superior to this Giants team talent-wise. Are you worried after last week's loss, or do you still see us as contenders? That's from the Less Smoke. I still think the Dolphins are the team to beat in the AFC, and particularly in the AFC East. And you could say, yeah, you're crazy. Look what the Bills did. They embarrassed them. It was a hostile environment. It was in Buffalo. Josh Allen had a field day. Yes, give them their flowers. They deserve the credit. However, it's one game in October, the beginning of October, on October 1st. That's when that game took place. I think when we get to week 18 of the season, it'll be a totally different conversation, and this Dolphins team will have proven to be the team to beat in the AFC and in the AFC East. Look, make no mistake about it. I think the Dolphins and Bills are the two best teams in the AFC. The Ravens maybe, but I don't think, no matter how good the defense might be for the Ravens, I don't think they're slowing down Tua, and I don't think that offense for Baltimore can put up enough points to stay in games against some of the premier teams in the AFC, like the Bills, like the Dolphins. So I'm not particularly worried. I also think the schedule favors the Dolphins a little bit, where you get kind of these two easier games with the Giants, followed by the Panthers, before another show-me opportunity on Sunday Night Football against the Philly Scumbag Eagles, and a chance to really prove it to the rest of the National Football League like they were unable to do in Week 4 against the Buffalo Bills. So I ain't worried. All right, Carter, what does he say? Trade Chubb for picks and Brian Burns. Interesting, because Brian Burns, yes, Chubb and picks for Brian Burns. Burns being the edge rusher for the Panthers, and they might be in sell mode, obviously, given the state of their team, but I've seen enough from Chubb of what he's capable of. I haven't seen it at a consistent level yet in 2023, but it's there. The Dolphins mortgage the future a little bit to get Chubb, and because of that, I want to see Bradley Chubb succeed in Miami, and I think there's been enough of a sample size successfully showing what he's capable of. I mean, I think maybe it's a stretch, but I don't think they win that game in New England without Bradley Chubb. Couple of sacks, had the forced fumble, and really can be that spark plug for this defense. Not to mention, Vic Fangio coached him in Denver, knows how to utilize him. They have a little bit of chemistry there. I'm a Bradley Chubb fan, and I think it's one of those things he's too talented to give up on just because of one bad game against the Buffalo Bills. I want to thank Game Time for sponsoring today's edition of our Mailbag on Dolphins Today. Look, Game Time's great. I've been telling you about them for weeks now, and I've been using Game Time for years, way before I got to Chat Sports. It is far and away the superior ticket app option. I've been using it for a while, for a couple of different reasons, but mostly because I know I absolutely can rest assured that I'm getting the best deal, lowest price guarantee, and it even works day of, last minute. Look, sometimes I'm a spontaneous guy. Say, hey, let's get the boys together. Let's go to a game. Maybe you want to go to the Dolphins game on Sunday. It's a home game. Go watch them blow out the Giants. All you need to do is download the Game Time app. It is far and away the best ticketing app to use. Also super easy to use, which I love. You know, you're not going to get one of those renderings or one of those diagrams. You're going to get a real picture of where your seats are. There's absolutely no deception with the Game Time app, which I absolutely love. And for being a Dolphins fan, a Dolphins Today subscriber, we're giving you $20 off that first purchase when you create an account and redeem with the code FINSCHAT. That's PHINSCHAT. FINSCHAT for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today because it takes the stress out of buying tickets, which I absolutely love. Create that account. Use that code PHINSCHAT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but not to worry. Create that account. Redeem that code. 20 buckaroos off for being a Dolphins Today subscriber and a Dolphins Today fan. Download the Game Time app today for the best last-minute tickets with the lowest price guaranteed. Let's get back to some of your mailbag questions using that hashtag Dolphins. What about Ramsey? I would love to see him in a Dolphins uniform making meaningful contributions and impactful plays on the defensive end ASAP, but you also don't want to rush him back. So yes, the Dolphins secondary could use a boost, but Jalen Ramsey, in the latter portion of his career, I'm not going to say he's on the back nine, but obviously needs to be fully healthy before we can expect him to be back in the lineup. What that timetable looks like, optimistically, we're thinking December. But again, it's one of those things. He's too good of a player to try to rush back and then have him re-aggravate something like that. So I think patience is a virtue when it comes to a player like Jalen Ramsey. It's not like he needs to prove anything. He's been a shutdown corner, a premier corner in this league for a long time. And like I said about the schedule, I think the Dolphins have a golden opportunity to create some distance in the AFC East, buy some time a little bit to not have to force Jalen Ramsey back. Plus, like a lot of the beat writers are saying, let's give the rookie, the second-round pick, Cam Smith out of South Carolina, an opportunity in the midst of this secondary shuffle where Vic Fangio is trying to plug and play a little bit. So we're not going to rush Ramsey back, not until he's fully healthy. Still optimistic he makes a meaningful contribution to this Dolphins defense in the regular season and into the playoffs. Ricky Castillo! By what week do you think our defense will be good? Week 5, baby, against that Giants offense that's last in the National Football League, scoring a whopping 11 points per game. Sorry, 11 points and change. I shortchanged them there. But this Dolphins defense is still finding its identity, to be serious for a second. I've said it about Vic Fangio. I'll say it again. I trust him. He is a proven defensive mind. He's a Super Bowl winning coach, albeit as a defensive coordinator, not as a head coach. But you get the gist. He knows what he's doing. His scheme is a little bit wonky. He has some tough ass of some secondary players. That was on full display against the Buffalo Bills. And you had Kader Kohou chasing Stephon Diggs all around the yard. And it takes time. So I think week 5 is a great opportunity to prove it against an inferior opponent. And keep in mind, we have seen signs of it from this defense where they've been opportunistic, where they forced turnovers. That game against the New England Patriots, 2 crucial turnovers were forced to help seal that win. And then again in the game against Denver, they were opportunistic in forcing several fumbles and so on and so forth. So it's not a perfect science. There's not a predictable timeline with it, but there's at least optimism, not optimisticism. Dance King, I believe that the defense will improve throughout the year. Remember, this is a new system for our players. Hey, Dance King, that's my guy, and I can say it till I'm blue in my face, but I appreciate you, the fans, the listeners, the viewers that also get it. You guys get it. You're the real ones. So yes, it takes time. And what was that? What was that movie? You can't rush perfection. I think that was an Owen Wilson line in some movie somewhere. So you can't rush perfection. All right, what does Sidney Jacobs have to ask? Could Nik Needham play this week against the Giants? I think this week might be too much of an ask, given the fact that today, being Wednesday, was his first return to practice. So that said, I don't think he'll be in the lineup on Sunday, but I think he's trending that way. Him coming back to practice, albeit in a limited capacity, is a great sign. It's a welcome sign, and also just gives Vic Fangio one more piece to utilize in that defensive system. So I don't think it'll be this week, but it's one of those things we'll continue to monitor as it progresses. While we're talking Dolphins secondary, I need you to be real with me. Weigh in on this one. How would you grade this Dolphins secondary? A, B, C, D, or F? Unfortunately, at times against the Bills, it did look like a D or an F. But against the Patriots, Xavier Howard made a couple of plays. And at times against the Broncos, this secondary looked like an A or B quality. Let me know in the comments. Got to be real, though. Got to be honest. I'm right now ready to give them a B-, C+. So room for improvement, absolutely. Couple more questions here. Can Tua win MVP and Achane win Offensive Rookie of the Year? Love the question. Josh Allen did pass Tua as the odds-on favorite to win MVP, but Tua is right behind him. I don't have the odds off the top of my head, but I believe Josh Allen was only a little bit ahead of Tua in terms of the odds-on favorite. So he's right there in the conversation. And statistically speaking, he's still one of the top quarterbacks in the National Football League. Obviously, when you can boast the top scoring offense, the top passing offense, that's going to help the MVP resume. But I think if you ask Tua, and anyone on the Dolphins for that matter, it's such a team game. They're not worried about individual accolades. And yes, we can get excited about that as fans of the team. It'd be awesome to see Tua Tagovailoa hoisting that MVP trophy. And in my opinion, through the first 4 weeks of play, he would be my MVP despite Josh Allen having that field day in week number 4 against the Dolphins. So yes, I think absolutely Tua can win the MVP. Now, DeVon Achane, that one's going to be a little bit tougher for a couple of reasons. Most notably in Houston, a guy by the name of C.J. Stroud has been so good. You got to tip the cap to him because he entered a system in which many people didn't believe he'd be successful because it wasn't necessarily ready for a quarterback to just step in and make plays the way that he has. But all the credit in the world to C.J. Stroud. I checked the odds on favorite for that, and he is, in fact, your favorite for Rookie of the Year. And I think the position also lends itself to that a little bit because we know it's a quarterback's lead. And then Anthony Richardson, too. Indianapolis has kind of been an odd case study, if you will. Many thought they were rebuilding. Jonathan Taylor was upset, and then they just unexpectedly went out and are at 500 through 4 weeks of the season with a big win over Baltimore. They did lose in overtime to the Rams, but Anthony Richardson hasn't necessarily been incredible in terms of passing statistics, but he's been electric. He's been dynamic with the football. He's got 4 rushing touchdowns in just 3 games because he missed the 1 game. So when you take that stat into consideration, I think C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson are probably the 2 that will win, or are most likely to win that Offensive Rookie of the Year. And then Achane, certainly the top rookie running back of note for that Offensive Rookie of the Year. Last question from Fins Fan 2003. Can the Dolphins win the big games? Yes. And what am I basing that off of? Hope and a prayer, baby. No, I think the Dolphins do have what it takes to be a legitimate contender. I've been pounding the table about this all week. I don't think you have an offense like that, and you're never out of a game with an offense like that. This team has proven they can put up points in a hurry, and yes, you'd like to see a little bit more from the defense against good teams, but they're never out of it with that offense. And I'm with you when Braxton Berrios caught that touchdown to make it a 2-score game in the second half against Buffalo. I was all in, baby. I thought a couple of stops by the defense, and here we go. Turns out the defense never got those stops. But I do think this Dolphins offense is generationally good. Therefore, you're never out of games. But it would be nice to see them prove it against some quality opponents because, yes, the Chargers, say what you will, but winning on the road is always a challenge. Patriots haven't been good, and that was the Dolphins' second win. So you were still waiting for that statement win. And the next 2 weeks, schedule's pretty easy. Giants and Panthers, I'm counting those both as wins. Then it's fun. It's another show-me game, Sunday Night Football against the Eagles. All right. Want to thank everybody for your participation in today's Ask Anything Mailbag. It's always a pleasure getting together with everybody and just rapping about the Miami Dolphins. Because when you say Miami, we're talking Super Bowl, obviously. But I don't want you to miss anything. And in order to do that, you need to turn your notifications on. You need to subscribe. Let me try that again. You need to subscribe. I got so excited. You need to subscribe to Dolphins Today, because you'll never miss a thing. And it's always a good time. It's always a good time. Whoa. All right, I'll stop singing. But you get the point. Subscribe to Dolphins Today. Never miss a thing. It's always a blast. We also have live watch parties on Sunday. This Sunday, we're having a watch party, and it's a battle royale. Bring your boxing gloves, baby. We're taking on the Giants. The Giants channel is one of the most successful channels here at Chat Sports, and we got to show Dolphins fans are the real one. I'm getting pumped up just thinking about it. So subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your participation in our Dolphins Today Mailbag.